This segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your partner is good health.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. Whenever we have news that is important to share, especially when it comes from Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, we rely on Blake Tabor. Blake, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Keith.
All right, very good. So, Blake, tell us a little bit about these 5 people that were arrested in connection with this armed robbery investigation.
Yeah, so look, this is one that's a little bit unique to our area, right? I mean, we understand that these types of cases are happening all across the country. We hear about them every day, right? But this is the first one from memory that I can recall that actually transpired kind of like this. And you'll see why in just a few moments.
Right.
So on October 7th, which was Tuesday last night, shortly after 11 o'clock, our office gets called to an area of a park in the Village East neighborhood in regards to a disturbance with a gun. Now, no disrespect intended, that is a pretty common occurrence in that particular area of town, right? So, of course, we are on our game and we are responding very quickly. As we are doing that, we get another call from a concerned person that says there was a suspect vehicle that is loaded down with multiple suspects that is trying to flee the area. And that particular caller gave a complete description of this vehicle to include the license plate, which was above and beyond if you ask us, right?
That's outstanding.
We love hearing those sort of things. So our officers were able to quickly intercept that vehicle before we even got to the scene. So ultimately, we conducted a traffic stop on that particular vehicle in the 9200 block of East Main Street. And where we located 5 different suspects in that car. So this doesn't happen frequently, but it's not too often where we find suspects before we can even talk to the victim, right? So ultimately, a officer, a case agent had to go to that particular scene. They made contact with what they believed to be a victim who was at a home suffering from a pretty serious injury, requesting EMS. So ultimately, as the officer gets there, he learns that the male victim was lured to the park by 2 particular female suspects who happened to be in that car. They were lured and transported to the park where he was robbed at gunpoint and beaten with what is believed to be a handgun. So as this case sort of culminates, you realize that it's getting more serious and more serious as it goes on, right? And of course, anytime we look at the injuries, we're not doctors, but we can certainly tell when an injury is consistent with the manner that someone is portraying, right? And that certainly appeared to be the case.
Consistent or inconsistent. In this case, it seemed very consistent.
Absolutely. So ultimately, that leads to a search of the vehicle, where not only do they find a handgun inside the car, but they also find the stolen property that the victim described. So doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, right? These people are obviously involved. At that point, all 5 were detained and brought in for questioning, where slowly but surely they began to provide some details and facts outlining their involvement in the particular case. So we're going to go ahead and read some names off. Ultimately, we were able to determine that Christopher Darnell McClendon, who was one of the people at the scene of the park whenever the victim arrived, you see him photographed here, he was ultimately alleged to have struck the victim first. The next name that I'm going to mention is a Christian Anthony Perry. And this was the person that was alleged to be in possession of the firearm and brandish the firearm at the victim, and then ultimately striking the victim with the firearm. So both of those particular suspects were arrested for armed robbery and unrelated warrants. Mr. McClendon is currently still jailed on a $501,500 bond in our current jail. Christian Anthony Perry, who is out of area, he's from Marrero. We haven't really determined what he's doing in our area specifically, but he is currently incarcerated at our facility on a $250,748 bond. The next suspect we'll talk about is a Warnette Jasper. She's a black female. She was also arrested for armed robbery and remains jailed on a $150,000 bond. She was one of the players in luring this particular victim to the scene. The next would be a Jason Lynn Hughes. He's a black male arrested for armed robbery. He is jailed on a $125,000 bond. And then last but certainly not least is a Jalacia Johnson, who was arrested for armed robbery, where she's incarcerated still on a $5,000 bond. The victim was transferred to an in-area hospital and later to an out-of-area hospital because of the severity of the injuries. However, he is going to recover, but his name is not being released at this time.
Sure. Well, and again, all of this is so early.
Absolutely.
Because you guys were able to intercept. I mean, again, how unique is it when you get a great description and, again, given the license plate, knowing that there's an issue, y'all go and make a traffic stop before you even talk to the victim. I mean, you talk about expedited police work, but oh my goodness.
I think people don't realize, Keith, the importance of being able to observe things and report it to police. It's not about making our job easier. Right. It's about making us more successful for those victims. Right. And that's what it's all about. Whenever our community becomes involved in their own security and safety and helps law enforcement and works in conjunction with law enforcement, I don't know that we can be stopped.
Yeah, I know that's right. And so when you are able to do that and expedite everything, and now I love the fact that the judges have decided that's over $1 million in bonds holding them.
Absolutely.
And for those 5 individuals.
Very serious.
Yes. And so we want to make sure that those kinds of people stay off the streets and don't do this again.
Absolutely.
So Blake, thank you so much. Thank the team for such outstanding work. And we thank that citizen for really making a difference in y'all's ability to do that quickly.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Very cool. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment, but don't go anywhere. We've got a whole lot more right here. Bayou Time.
This segment was brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your partner is good health.